Hey guys, trust you super well and welcome back to the Painter's Circle. You're probably wondering why I've got this Tupperware container in my hand, and what I've got in here is actually a deck of cards. Now, it's not really a typical deck of cards, you know, the Jack, Queen, King, and hearts, spades, diamonds, and love hearts and hearts. Clubs, not love hearts. It's a deck of cards that are the frameworks with which we pretty much help business owners around the country in their business. So a framework is a particular, let's say, formula on how to solve a particular problem. So for me, frames create focus. So when we have a framework, it helps us get clear on the best possible way to solve a roadblock, a red flag, a problem, or to move towards something that we want. So in this episode, we're going to randomly, they're all face down, I'm going to do a bit of a shake, not that that really matters, and I'm going to pick one up randomly and I'm going to run through that framework and hopefully you'll learn something today. So when we work with the clients, I always operate from frameworks because there's one thing to be able to coach a client or mentor a client or consult with a client. But for me personally, I want to make sure that person can go into their business, and if this comes up again, they have a framework, or a lack of better description, a formula to accelerate solving that problem if and when it comes up again. Because in business, the reality is we're going to encounter different problems, different roadblocks more often. And as business owners, the bigger the problems we solve, the better the outcomes that we get. So let's do it. So I'm going to, it's hard, there's a bit of an odd box. Should make it like Braille so I could pick one that that's completely random. Alrighty. Okay. Interested versus interesting. All right. This frame, in particular, it is usually used when we have a communication problem. So typically when we're either in a sales situation or recruitment, or we're talking to team members, or we're in networking events around communicating with people, it is how do we... Hey guys, welcome to the Painter's Circle, where we help painting business owners scale their operations, increase profitability, and gain more time freedom. I'm Taz Mullis, and in this podcast, I'll share actionable tips, expert strategies, and real-world insights that'll help you grow your painting business without burning you out. Ready to take your painting business to the next level? Let's go. Oh yeah! How do we help people understand our point of view? How do we talk to them and uncover for them perceived value to help them align with us in moving towards the goals that we want? So they could be in a sales environment where you're selling your services. It could be in a sales environment where you're in recruitment, because recruitment is like the inverse of sales. You're selling someone the opportunity. Remember, you're selling them the opportunity to come and work with you and your team. So this is a very simple frame. Interested versus interesting. Really, really simple frame. So for the most part, when I'm talking to business owners, and I'm going to give us the story that this particular business owner would like to know, how come they keep getting objections in the sales cycle? So why is it that they keep getting objections of they need more information, got to talk to my partner, it's not the right time, and the biggest one that most paintings and most business owners get is price objection in a sales conversation. This simple frame, now it's not the be all and end all, there's more to it with communication, but this simple frame switches very quickly because predominantly, and I've role played this dozens and dozens of times with clients and probably 100 times with my team, This frame changes the whole concept of how we run those conversations. Now, typically, more than 90% of the time, when I'm role-playing in sales conversations with people, is they are trying to be interesting. What do I mean by that? They'll walk into the conversation, and remember, this is the problem that they have, is lack of buy-in to the thing that they want, low sales, low conversions, competing on price, time, information, or partner objections. Whatever it happens to be, they keep getting this, is because they're focusing on being interesting. What I mean by that is they'll walk into that conversation or that relationship and start talking about them. They'll start talking about, I've been in the industry for 20 years. We use in-house staff. We use this product. I am a member of this. We are police checked. We've done this house. So they're relying on them being interesting to the potential client or prospect. The problem with trying to be interesting, you are inadvertently focusing on you. Do you struggle with a plan in your painting business that's fast, clear, and specific? Our Game Plan Builder turns your chaos into a tailored plan. It's built fast, it's built for you, and it's built to move. Check out the show notes for your copy and download it today. And in a sales conversation, and when I say sales, sales is just an exchange of value. If you are focusing on you and you are not focusing on them, because you're making the mistake that just because you think what you've done is interesting, they think the same thing, you are consistently going to hit an unpredictable sales cycle. You can see it when you're at events, your barbecue or parties, and you'll be in a conversation and there's typically one person or a couple of people. They'll be talking about them. We did that. We do this. And they're trying to be interesting. Have you ever encountered that before? And do you find it like a little bit, it's hard to engage and really listen to someone when all they're doing is trying to be interesting. And what happens in that sales conversation, if I go back to being a sales conversation, is when you're being interesting, you are inadvertently focusing on the intrinsic value of what you do. So another way of saying that, because I don't want to confuse you what that means, you're focusing on the people in your business, you're focusing on the pieces of what you do, or you're focusing on the process of how you do it. None of that is important to your prospective client unless they ask you or tell you that it is. Now, how do you shift away from being interesting and talking about you, talking about your pieces and talking about your process? Is you take a different perspective. So you just shift, mentally shift to be interested in them. If you want someone to more than likely, as a whole, a group of people, to agree with your way of thinking or your solutions or your plan or whatever it happens to be that you're trying to sell, because you're not just selling to your potential clients. In this instance, I'm using an example, but you could be selling to potential people to come work with you, the opportunity. I mean, we're selling all the time. Selling to my kids to clean their room, giving them being interested, making them interested. So an example in a sales conversation, moving away from interesting, which is telling them people, process, pieces of what we do, and being interested by asking questions. Questions are the cornerstone of being interested. If you are not asking questions, you're being interesting. And when I say ask questions, I don't mean like one question. Hi, what are you looking at doing? An exterior repaint. That's just surface level. That's not being interested. That's ticking a box. Being interested is going another level. Oh, thanks for sharing to me. So you want to paint the exterior. Why do you want to paint the exterior? X, Y, Z. I want to sell. We just moved in. We're downsizing. We're renovating. It's a bit old. It's been a while. Fantastic. Thanks for sharing. Why are you trying to do it now? So being interested is asking lots and lots of questions so they feel like they have been heard. If you can focus on being interested in the person you are communicating with, you will automatically become interesting to them. You don't have to try being interesting. If you are interested in someone, really interested, and asking them why, how, when, time frame, how would that make you feel that the job's finished by this time? Get really into the perceived value for them of why they're doing the thing by being interested. Guess what happens? By default, you automatically become interesting because you know why? Because they're talking about them. So this framework is it's 2 words with a V in the middle, but it resets everything. That when we're communicating, when I'm communicating, when I'm working with clients, whether it be in sales and recruitment or communicating to the team, if they are focusing on being interesting, it's unlikely that the person you're talking to is going to be interested in what you have to say. Versus, if you can focus on being interested in them, you cannot help but by becoming interesting to them. So, focus here, not here. If you are interested, you will become interesting. However, if you try to be interesting, they won't be interested. So this simple framework helps in all levels of communication. Again, I'll bring back to the party conversation. Have you ever been in a group of people at a party, barbecue, school event, and someone's there asking lots of questions? Oh, how did that go? How did that feel? Well, that was amazing. What'd you do? You can't help but like that person because guess what? They're talking about your favorite subject. Guess who that is? It's you and your potential client, your potential team member, your potential, insert the person that you are trying to build a relationship with so you can help them help you get where you want to go, comes 100% down to becoming interested in them. Simple framework. Hard to do, but simple framework. This is one of my favorites of all time because the simpler the framework, the easier to correct, the better the outcome. Remember, frames create focus. So whenever I'm in a conversation with a client and their number one thing is they're having difficulty in communicating a message, when I'm role playing, I'm just listening to where are they coming from? Are they trying to be interesting, which is natural as a business owner, because we naturally fall into trying to be interesting. Do you want to know why? Because you're a painting business owner. More than likely, you are a painter or still painting right now. So your identity is built on being a painter. So what happens is if you've been doing it for 4-year apprenticeship, you've been painting for 5, 10 years, so you've been in the industry 5 or 10 years or 20 years plus, your whole work career and identity has been built on becoming a better painter. So all your time, your resources, your effort, your training, you've probably done some extra training and different skill sets. You put all your effort into becoming a better painter. And then what do we do intrinsically? We want to communicate because we feel that your person, your client, your team member, whoever out there you want them to help you get where you want to go, is interested in all the work that we did. But guess what? They weren't there. They weren't there when you were doing your apprenticeship. They weren't there when you were doing the training. They weren't there when you spent your time, money, and resources to build it out. They can never understand your experience of that. So focusing on this is focusing on the wrong thing. They weren't there. You can't share that. However, if you switch this and become interested in them, then they'll become interested in you. You become interesting by being interested. It's a shift in the way that you see things. Again, for me, frames create focus. And the purpose of this is to correct real quick when I'm not, or when we are not converting, because most of the time we are focusing on the people, the process, and the pieces because we're trying to become interesting. Shift away, become interesting, become interested in them, and you will by default become interesting to them. Interested versus interesting. Awesome. Stay cool. Be well. As usual. See you in the Tradies. Bye-bye. Hey guys, if you got value from today's episode, make sure to subscribe so you never miss expert tips. If you want some support, check out the link in the show notes and see how we can help you. Don't forget to follow us on socials @PainterCoach. Stay cool, be well, and as usual, see you in the interwebs. Bye.